I'm going to get right into what the Lord told me today. He says, don't cut corners. Don't cut corners. Sometimes in our lives, we're dealing with situations where we just want to get to the end of it. We just want to get it finished, and we compromise and we do things slightly less than quality, okay? And just to get it, just to get it finished. The Lord says, don't cut corners. What you are doing, you're thinking you are saving yourself time, but you are not. You're going to, it's going to cost you more time and more energy in the long run if you do not do it right the first time. Okay? So as children of God, we need to walk in integrity in everything that we do. That means if something requires time, we need to put in the time. If it requires energy, we need to put in the energy. If it requires prayer, we need to put in the prayer. Okay, we can't expect the blessing to come when we are cutting corners and doing things halfway, He gave me Proverbs 10 verse 9 says, he who walks in integrity walks securely, but he who perverts his ways will be found out. Okay, the Lord says that he sees when people do things incorrectly on purpose and do things with deception. Let me give you an example. Okay, I bought my house in 2018. It was newly refurbished. Okay, it was newly refurbished. Beautiful, beautiful. I've been in my house since 2018, and there have been so many problems that I have found out. And it's because the guy who redid this house cut corners. And as time goes on, I can see more and more ways that he did things incorrectly, and he did things halfway, halfway. And it's costing me now. But the Lord says in those situations, he sees the deceit, and they will be found out. They will be found out. He also gave me Proverbs 28, verse 20. A faithful man will abound with blessings, but he who makes haste to be rich will not go unpunished. He who makes haste to be rich will not go unpunished. A lot of times we cut corners and we do things less than quality. We do things without integrity when we are making haste towards something, okay? And he says this is punishable. This is punishable. Okay, so he just wants to remind us that we need to walk in integrity and to not cut corners in what we're doing. Like, we fall and we slip, and that's fine. There's grace for that. But he's talking like conscious decisions to do things incorrectly in order to get the job done. And this could be in our jobs, our relationships, any kind of deceit that has crept in. He's warning us now not to do it. Now, he also brought up something else that is going on, and he wants us to be aware of it as well. There are people out there, and I don't fully understand what he's saying. Sometimes, when he gives words, he only gives me part, and so I don't understand fully. But I'm just going to tell you what he told me. He says, there are people out there that are trying to piggyback on my children in order to receive the blessing they receive. They're trying to piggyback on them. And He said, these people do not want to put in the work. They do not want to put in the time. They're trying to attach themselves to my children in order to be blessed with them. He gave me one area this is happening, and I'm in prophetic ministry, and so he was talking to me about the prophetic right now, and it's been a really long time since I've been on YouTube listening to prophetic messages. The Lord has gotten me completely separated from that. Every once in a while I'll turn one on if he puts one in front of me that I need to watch. I used to spend a lot of time back in like 2020. I used to spend a lot of time listening to prophetic messages. And it was one way that he kind of got me prepared for this ministry. But since then he has separated. But he's told me today that this is what's going on right now. There are people who the Lord has given them messages to release. They'll release it. Someone else will pick it up and use it as their own. So instead of using it, and they'll release it as if the Lord spoke to them directly, okay? So instead of spending the time with God that they need to spend, instead of spending the time in the Word, instead of spending the time in prayer, they're stealing words from other people, from God's children, off of YouTube or wherever it may be, and releasing them as if the Lord spoke to them directly about it. He says this is wrong. It is not pleasing to him. These people are trying to piggyback off of his children, and they're trying to receive the blessing. They're trying to make a name for themselves. The prophetic and every other spiritual gift is not given to us to make a name for ourselves. It is not. It is given to us to glorify God and to further God's kingdom, to bring people into relationship with God, to set out a truth of standard of how we should be living. Okay, this is what the spiritual gifts are for. It is to further his kingdom. It is not for our own benefit. But these people who are piggybacking are using it in order to promote themselves and using it for their own benefit. And the Lord wants us to be aware of it. He wants us to be discerning whenever we are listening to people give prophetic messages, okay? Ask the Lord for discernment, whether or not this person is really hearing from him, whether or not what they're saying is true. He says this is not just happening in the prophetic, it's happening all over, even in the personal lives of his children, at work, in relationships. There are piggybackers who don't want to do the work themselves. And the Lord says that he will reward those people with integrity, who work with integrity, and that the reward will go to those, okay? The reward will not go to those people who are piggybacking. The reward will not go to those people who are cutting corners. There is a reward on the other side of doing things the right way. There is a reward from God, on the blessing from God on the other side of doing things the right way, of doing things with integrity. A faithful man will abound with blessings, but he who makes haste to be rich will not go unpunished. He who walks in integrity walks securely, but he who perverts his ways will be found out. So he just wants us to remain in integrity and be aware of people maybe trying to piggyback off of you. If that is happening, pray over it, go to the Lord about it, ask the Lord what you need to do about it. And then, follow his guiding on it. I think that's all I have. I love you guys.